the rote memorization, the facts, the people, the different types of subjects, the different types of things that you just need to memorize just to memorize, and to do it in a very functional, effective, efficient way so that you don't have to spend a lot of time on that rote memorization. What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Phil Sarpon. This is Phil's Guide to PsyD. This channel is dedicated to all things psychology, wellness, and graduate school. And so today we're going to actually be using a lot of neuroscience, neuropsychology, and psychology skills to get the most out of our learning, to actually retain the information that we learn and then use it in the best way possible. Before we start, I think it's really important to talk about just this concept of memory. So we've got the hippocampus, which is this tiny seahorse shaped part of your brain that actually plays a huge role in storing memories. Damage to the hippocampus means that it will probably result in some form of amnesia. We also have the prefrontal cortex, which helps with decision making and working memory. And then there's different neurotransmitters like acetylcholine, which are super important for memory formation. Low acetylcholine levels are typically linked to Alzheimer's disease. So memory isn't just one thing, it's a whole network of processes that are building together to get the most out of your memory retention and helping you with the ability to retain the information that you learn. Some of the questions that people will ask me is, why is it so hard to memorize and why do we often forget? There's something called retrieval failure. You're just about to say a word but you just can't think of it, and it's sort of literally right on the tip of your tongue. There's also something called the serial position effect, discovered by a psychologist named Herman Ebbinghaus. Basically, you're more likely to remember the first and last things in a list, but everything in the middle is much more difficult to remember. Okay, so knowing what we know about the brain, here are a few tips and tricks to try and get the most out of your learning. The first thing is that the method of Loci. This one has been around for thousands of years. Basically, what you do is that you picture a familiar location, like let's say for your house, for example, and you are going to place the things you need to remember in specific rooms in the house. So for example, if you need to remember a grocery list, you imagine a giant carton of eggs sitting on your bed. You also imagine a loaf of bread that's blocking your front door. Or you can also imagine a gallon of milk on your kitchen counter. When you walk through your mental house, you'll be able to recall everything a lot more easily because you're attaching that grocery list items to a location inside this mental house. Another great trick is to link numbers to rhyming words. So for example, 1 could equal bun, 2 could equal shoe, 3 could equal tree. If you need to remember carrots, chicken, and apples, you can imagine a carrot inside a hamburger bun, a chicken wearing a shoe, and an apple hanging from a tree. Because you're taking into consideration how you can actually use this concept of rhyming into memory. Another hack is flashbulb memory and emotions. Typically, it is so much easier to remember something like big events, could be weddings, funerals, life events. These things are so much easier to remember because typically they're attached to emotion. That's called a flashbulb memory. And so if you really want to remember something, try attaching some type of emotion to it. Make it exciting, make it dramatic, make it personal. When you want to hack your focus, it's really important to start something, even if you don't necessarily finish it. An unfinished task is much more memorable than a finished one. Your brain does not like unfinished business, so it will keep that task kind of lingering in your mind, pushing you to want to complete it. Whenever I have a long list of items that I need to complete, I will usually just start each task individually, and then from that point on, have a little bit more motivation to go back to those tasks because I really want to finish it and complete it. And so to kind of wrap things up, you can use a lot of these tactics to the benefit of memorizing information. You can try the method of Loci or the peg word system for a number of different types of recall, whether placing certain items into a mental room or whether using certain items and rhyming it with a number in order to remember it. Use some type of emotion to your memory. Lastly, as much as you can also leverage the Zeigarnik effect to stay focused, starting a number of tasks and leaving them uncompleted in order to kind of gauge that motivation and drive yourself forward to want to complete it. And I know this can be really difficult, and this is why I really encourage students to find the process that works for you. One of the things that one of my professors taught me was the pre-Mac principle, pretty much planning out some type of pleasurable activity right after I get done with studying. There's at least something to look forward to. All of these skills were really helpful for me as I was going into graduate school and trying to get the most out of my learning in the most efficient way possible. Now, I would love to ask you, have you used any of these tips, any of these strategies, and have they actually helped you in your learning process? Put it down in the comment section below. If you have any questions or if you need other tips or guidance, please reach out to me on all of my socials at Phil's Guide to PsyD. You can always subscribe to the channel to learn more, and hopefully I will see you all in the next video.